Hello and welcome to our YouTube channel. My name is Chris and I'm a driving instructor at Signal Driving School. If you are new here, please consider subscribing to our channel and also turn on the notification bell so that you get notified when we release new videos. In this video, we are going to show you the 3 methods you can use to help you determine when to change gears. Changing gear is one of the topics that often confuses many learner drivers learning how to drive a manual transmission. Most of the times, no one really explains how and when to make a gear change. As manual car drivers, we have to understand the car that we are driving, as not changing gear on time can cause high fuel consumption, restrict vehicle performance, and also affect the car mechanically. There are 3 things that can help us determine when to change gear, which are the engine sound, the tachometer, also known as the rev counter, which shows us the RPM or the engine speed, and finally, the speedometer, which shows us the speed of the car. Let's first talk about the engine sound. Firstly, as the speed of the engine or the RPM increases, the engine will sound louder and louder, which is a good sign that we need to change up a gear. Secondly, as the speed of the engine or the RPM decreases, the engine sound will also reduce, which is a good sign that we should change to a lower gear. However, listening to the engine is usually not 100% reliable, because if there are noisy vehicles next to us, for example trucks, or if we have loud music playing in the car, we won't be able to hear the engine sound and we will be over-revving, which is not good for the car. Therefore, it's important not to rely on the engine sound only and use the other methods to help us determine when to change gears. Let's look at an example. So the first example that we are going to look at is how we can use the sound of the car to help us change gear. So at the moment, I'm parked, I'm pulled over on the left, and I'm gonna move off soon once everything is clear, and you're gonna see how I use the sound of the car to actually change gears without having to look in the dashboard. Okay, so I'm gonna put the car in first gear. I'm gonna put on my right indicator. I'm gonna look around, another check, increase the revs a bit to move off, and then I move off. So once we're moving off, you can hear the revs are going up. So I'm gonna change to second, increasing the speed. So I'm gonna keep listening to the car. So the revs are starting to go up. They are quite high now. So I can change to 3, crashing out, accelerate again. Again here, this road is 60, so I can increase the speed. So I can hear the revs are going up. Stop accelerating, the car in gear 4, crashing out. The next method is using the tachometer, also known as the rev counter, which shows us the engine speed or the RPM. Most cars these days come with a tachometer or a rev counter with numbers ranging from 0 to 8, which is actually 0 to 8,000. Keep in mind that the tachometer measures the speed of the engine, and the engine is always moving at a faster speed than the vehicle. When the car is stationary, the tachometer will be at what we call idle speed of the engine. As we accelerate, the RPM, which is the engine speed, will increase, allowing the car to go faster. On the other hand, as we slow down, the RPM or the engine speed will decrease as the car slows down. When the engine speed increases, we should change up gear, also known as upshifting. And when the car slows down, we should change down gear where necessary, also known as downshifting. When driving on flat roads or downhill, we should change up gears when the RPM is roughly between 2000 to 2500. When going uphill, we should change up gears when the RPM is between 2500 to 3000, because the car needs more power. Sometimes you may need even more revs if the hill is very steep. Usually, the tachometer is the most reliable method to help us determine when to change gears. Let's look at an example. So I'm going to be going right. I'm in first gear at the moment. I'm gonna try and use the revs to help me change gear. Okay, so the light has changed to green, but the red arrow has stayed on, so I'm gonna have to wait. Okay, so I can move in the middle now. So increase the speed. So I'm going to 10. The revs are going up. Looking in the RPM, in the tachometer, I can see it's close to 3,000, so I need to change gear. So increasing the speed over close to 2.5, change to 3. Increasing the speed again, close to 2.5, change to gear 4. And then we are going to be stopping. So some people, what they do here, they brake and then they go 3, crash out, and they brake again, they go to 2, crash out. That's fine. You'll be fine in the driving test, but in the long term, you don't really have to go 1 gear at a time. You can actually skip 1 gear maybe when you're slowing down. Revs close to 2.5, change gear. Then I'm gonna increase the speed again. The revs are close to 2.5, change to 3. Increase the speed again. The revs close to 2.5, change to 4. So at that point, when I'm using the revs, because I know that when I'm over 2,000, I can change gear. Usually the sound of the engine won't be that loud, which is good because it means that I'm actually saving fuel by changing gear on time using the revs. Whereas if you rely on the sound, sometimes you might not be able to hear the car until the revs are close to maybe 3,000.
Finally, let's look at the last method that we can use to help us determine when to change gears, and this is using the speedometer or the speed of the car. Personally, this is my favorite method, although the speeds that I use in determining when to change gears can vary from vehicle to vehicle. Keep in mind that the speedometer measures the speed of the vehicle. Usually, start by figuring out the speeds that matches each gear, and you can do this easily using the tachometer or the rev counter. So in this car, which is a Toyota Corolla, I usually use these gears at these speeds. But again, this might be different in the vehicles that you are driving, so it's important to use the RPM as a guide first. On flat roads, I use first from 0 to 20 kilometers per hour, second from 20 to 35 kilometers per hour, third from 35 to 50 kilometers per hour, fourth from 50 to 60 kilometers per hour, fifth from 60 to 70 kilometers per hour, sixth from 70 and above. When going downhill, I usually change 5 kilometers per hour earlier. So, first from 0 to 15 kilometers per hour, second from 15 to 30 kilometers per hour, third from 30 to 45 kilometers per hour, fourth from 45 to 55 kilometers per hour, fifth from 55 to 65 kilometers per hour, sixth from 65 and above. When going uphill, I change 5 kilometers per hour or 10 kilometers per hour later. So, first from 0 to 25 kilometers per hour, second from 25 to 45 kilometers per hour, third from 45 to 60 kilometers per hour, fourth from 60 kilometers per hour to 80 kilometers per hour, fifth from 80 to 90 kilometers per hour, sixth from 90 and above. But again, this is just a rough idea, but being as close to these numbers as possible help us achieve the correct RPM for the road. The aim is to make sure that we are not over-revving the engine, while also making sure that we are not under-revving, ensuring the car has enough power every time.
So we're gonna do one more example using the speed of the car to help us change gear. So I'm just gonna wait for the truck to pass me. Alright, so I'm gonna indicate, look around. So I'm 0. I know when I get to 20, I need to change to second. Crash out. So I'm gonna increase the speed again. I know when I'm around 35, I go to 3. So I'm gonna change to 3. And then I know once I hit over 50, I go to gear 4. So I'm gonna increase the speed, get to over 50, change to gear 4. Crashing out. And then I'm going to be changing lanes. So I'm gonna put on my right signal, look around, shoulder check, and then I move. Now, if you've learned how to downshift one gear at a time, this is how you should do it. Once the speed drops around, let's say around 35, maybe around 40, change to 3. Drop it around 30, change to 2, crouching out, and then make sure I'm indicating because I'm going right. So I'm going to increase the speed to 35, and so 35, change to 3, crouching out, increase the speed again. So I know when I'm around over 50, I can go to gear 4. So increase the speed, change to gear 4. And then this road is 70, so I know when I'm roughly 65, I can actually go to gear 5. Scratch out every time I change gear. I'm going to be going right, so I'm gonna drop the speed to maybe below 50, and I'm gonna go straight to 3rd gear. And then so go to 3, and then I'm gonna drop the speed to about 20. I'm gonna change to 2 because when we're turning, we always wanna be using 2nd gear for turning. And then here we're gonna increase the speed. I'm doing around 30, 35, change to 3. Now this is a little bit uphill, so I can actually, what I can do, I can just use that technique of changing gear slightly late, which means I change gear 5 kilometers later, 5 kilometers per hour later. So like here, this road is 50, I believe it's 50, I think. Not 100% sure. I think it's 50 because I didn't see the sign, so I'm just gonna assume it's 50. So I'm going to be making a U-turn because I think this road is kind of like a dead end. So U-turn, I'm gonna be using 1st gear for U-turn. So I'm gonna slow down, I'm gonna go to 2nd, crouching out. I'm going to be putting the car in 1st gear, and I'm gonna crouch out, and I'm going to be turning all the way around. So at the moment, the speed is around 15. And then I know once I hit around 20, I can change gear. But because I'm going downhill a little bit, I can actually change gear around 15. And then around 30, I can actually go to 3 because it's going downhill a little bit. So I'm changing 5 kilometers before because it's going downhill. And then here, I know that although it's a 50 zone, but because I'm going slightly downhill, I can actually go to 4 once I'm around 45. So I'm using 4th gear in a 50 zone. Even though like normally I change over 50, but because the road is going downhill, I don't need a lot of power, and the car is not complaining, so which means it's fine. But some cars this might not be possible. So I'm gonna be going left, so I'm gonna just block change here, going from 4 to 2, crouching out. Then I'm gonna make sure no one is coming. There's some cars coming, so I'm gonna go to gear 1.
So the question is, which method should you use? It really doesn't matter which method you use as long as you understand the car. Any of these 3 methods will be okay, but as a guide, you should definitely learn to listen to the engine, plus either using the tachometer or the speedometer. Personally, I use the speedometer because I want to know what speed I'm doing every time, but I also listen to the engine because there are situations where I can't check the speedometer and I have to be focusing on what's happening around me. That's it for today, and I hope you found this video on when to change gear useful. If you enjoyed watching this video, you can go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and if you have any questions, you can leave them in the comment down below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell so that you get notified when we release new videos. You can also check us out on Instagram, Signal Driving School Australia. If you are doing a driving test soon, I wish you the best of luck. See you in the next video.